now we got the lights on, and we'll officially get things underway. The lights flick on. And we are off and away, firing it back down towards turn number 1. A great start behind from Jeremy Castro. Immediately takes up the number 2 spot. Brian LeBlanc is already clear down towards turn number 1. We've crashed already before we even crossed our finish line as the field of 34 strong fires it up and over turn number 1. Big crash in the background. 2, 3, 4 going around as the field stacks it up in the opening couple of corners. We've worked back around up the hill before we fire it down for the carousel.
I forgot we had the new grass there for a second. I saw Chris Hannigan go shortcutting through the grass on the exit of turn 1, and I thought he was going to clobber everybody in turn 2, but I forgot he's got a little bit more grip than they used to in the grass. But now we look back up towards Jeremy Castro, holding on to that second place position for Plank, as it looks like Madole is around on the hill, trying to get that shift right and get back on the racetrack. Because, man, Clank's under fire heavily from Combs going through the carousel. I mean, what a dive by Combs to be able to take that P3 position. But it looks like Clank, the cluck machine, is still on his inside going down into the hairpin.
Alexander Clank and John Combs are working down in towards turn number 7 and 7A as this field works its way around. Clank will pick up the number 3 spot. Combs back in 4th as the rest of this field hightails it up and over the high banks of the Sonoma Race. Well, there's high banks, I should say, the flat banks of the Sonoma Raceway. So far from the opening melee right at the start, looking to be a relatively clean start. Brian LeBlanc is still clear way back in turn number 1. We got a couple of cars going around to the background. Evan Campbell has been spun around in the carousel itself. He's going to be sent way down towards the tail end of this field. But LeBlanc still leads the way and still take up the race lead for heat race number 1. Of Evan Campbell forced to yield. Clank meanwhile side by side with LeBlanc for the lead.
Man, Clank really trying to get around the outside. Oh, they make contact on the apex of the carousel, and they're 3 wide coming off the corner. It looks like John Combs gets to the inside. LeBlanc is actually getting edged out to the side of the racetrack. Gets really, really loose, and now John Combs is trying to put Alexander Clank under fire for the P1 position going down into the hairpin.
Hard on the brakes for John Combs as he'll send it in way too deep into turn 7, and that's going to allow Clank now to rocket away with that race lead, and he runs off with Adam Joseph Mailhot here. This is coming down into the bus stop chicane, as I believe he will have lost the 40-ounce force machine off into the grass right there. Spins it around, and doesn't look like too bad of an incident there. Then Tanner Klein comes through, and he's found the tire barriers. Oh! Mailhot spun out again and just nicked Klein and sent him hard into the wall.
Position, that's my man for stupid. Oh! The race leader gets spun sideways in the last corner. Alexander Clank goes sideways off the nose of John Combs. I believe they made contact on the middle of that corner, and actually Castro's able to clear them both for the lead, and that brings Brian LeBlanc back into the race for the lead as well.
Take a look at the replay here as Alexander Clank had John Combs right behind, and Combs, in too hard, gave him the good old bump and run, spun Clank around. Tell you what, it was a good save from the 013, but it was enough to send Combs through to the lead, and Castro, as you mentioned, overtook the both of them. And Combs all running line astern, as now Alexander Clank with a huge run on Brian LeBlanc, trying to get back to him for the race lead here. So the battle for the front starting to pick up. Clank making that look to the inside this time by. And they'll be alongside as we dive it back down in towards the carousel. Clank and LeBlanc not be able to exchange hands. LeBlanc hangs on to the race lead. Clank swings it way out wide. What do you reckon? Think he'll have a look down the inside of turn 7?
Oh, absolutely. He dives it in deep here. I mean, we've seen him clobber that inside curve, but actually LeBlanc just kind of overdrove the entry, as it looks like Clank's going to be able to get past with just about no problem. I mean, it almost didn't even look like a challenge, because I think LeBlanc just overdrove the entry in the corner just a little bit too much.
Mitigated by almost running into the wall. We got a lot of cars in the... Whoa! Holy cow! Chris Hannigan just made a pass entering pit road by taking the Chastain line. Take a look at this.
It's good to know there's a talent behind it or something. You can do it right, you can do it wrong. And Chris Hannigan did it right. I mean, he barely had the gap. He barely had the gap to be able to make that work. And he does going down in the pit road. What an incredible pit entry from Chris Hannigan to be able to just squeeze it in that gap. Use the wall, maybe made a little bit of contact, but my goodness, Chris Hannigan, that was cool.
Let's get a look on board with Ron Wolf through all this. This is what Wolf saw. He was not expecting that one at all, and he can thank his lucky stars. There was about exactly enough width over on the left-hand side to make that happen. The hill.
Oh, Cammeyer hit that inside curb just a little bit and got into the inside of Crawford and just sent him hard into the wall. I don't know why Crawford was that far back to begin with, though. We saw him work up to the 7th place position earlier in the race.
Well, watch this in its entirety. Klein is second in line. Rea is in the lead. Klein sends it in and absolutely punts Ken Rea around. Goes for the full spin. A little donut around Klein's car as then working onto the front straightaway. Klein, I think, is trying to redress and give the spot back to Ken Rea as he was slow. And Rea just runs over the back of him and just does not care at all. That is absolutely retaliation right there on behalf of Tanner Klein, which I think is a bit of a shame because Tanner Klein was trying to be nice and give the spot back. Into pit road, and he'll take the Chastain line to try to get up and around. Now on your track map, the one in green is Clank, the one in gray is Romano. This is the gap between the top two as it stands, and Giovanni Romano just worked his way through that chicane. He's working his way to the right-hand sweeper. Can Clank get out in time to stay in front of Giovanni Romano? My bet is on no, as Romano is approaching that final critical hairpin, and Clank just now is into the box, and he still has to fill that car up with enough fuel. Here comes Romano off of the final corner, closing the gap, crosses the start-finish line with just under 6 minutes to go. Clank's leaving pit road, but it's too late. Romano is through to the race lead.
I can't fathom that. I would not be.
Whoa,
oh my God! Well, never
mind.
mind. I guess he's not really 14th anymore. I thought that might have been a drunk mistake where he was going to absolutely destroy Barrett, but he actually just had a really good pit entry. So credit to Crawford to be able to come down pit road like that.
Holy cow! Well, this is there it is. There's Crawford shooting on by, and wow. And this is Corey Barrett, what he saw throughout this whole mess. Hang on. You know what? He took a bit of a wide entry as well. I think he probably saw it coming and he was ready for it. So I'll give Barrett some credit for having a head. He's going to come through that final corner with no competition behind. Giovanni Romano going to be your race winner as he'll pass a spinning Ken Rea to take the win in wine country.